Now look at this. Between 7:15 to 7:30 a.m., the people drove down to a gate that restricted access to part of the base, and they attempted to open the gate remotely using a fob. The gate opened just a little and then closed on 3 separate tries. On the 4th attempt, the gate opened completely and stayed open. There were no prior operational problems with that particular gate. There were no operating issues with the gate after September. Interesting to mention that. They're trying to say that whatever this object was, it interfered with the electronics in the area. It interfered with the gate. Now, chat, what do we think about this one? Is this, I mean, that drawing's ridiculous, but also, could something like this really occur? Could some interdimensional or intergalactic being just phase through our sky and just appear? Is that possible? Like, could that happen, chat? It's weird how many people claim to have seen aliens and how similar the sightings seem to be. It's very weird. Like, I remember, how many of you guys watched Gobcast episode 100? You guys remember when I spoke to the guy who was at the bar, the Alien Inn by Area 52 or Area 51? I initially thought that guy was just like talking that shit up for marketing, you know, like, oh, we're at Area 51. But like, we actually spent like a good hour in that bar just having some drinks and chatting with that guy, and he is completely dead serious about that shit. Like, he is 100% like dead fucking serious about that shit. Like, and a lot of the things that guy who worked at the bar right outside of Area 51 described to me are very similar to this. Like, orbs in the sky, appearing out of the sky, moving rapidly. It seems that this is a very common sighting for people. It's like, surely with this many sightings, it can't be false, can it? Like, there has to be some level of truth to this. What are these objects in the sky? You know? Either way, let's keep going. Here we go. Western U.S. events. Here we go. Orbs launching orbs. This document is a summary of statements from 7 U.S. persons employed by the federal government who separately reported observing several unidentified anomalous phenomena in the western United States over the course of 2 days in 2023. Okay. So these are separate teams of people, separate reports, but they saw similar things. Let's see it. Orbs launching orbs. Time of day, dusk, on 2 separate days. That's a real important part of this chat. 2 fucking separate days this occurred. 3 teams of 2 federal law enforcement agents each independently described seeing orange orbs in the sky emit and launch smaller red orbs in groups of 2 to 4, with 3 being the general consensus. Bro, chat, we just looked at these pictures of the orbs spawning more orbs. Look. Chat, is there some weight to this? Chat, the orbs are spawning more orbs, chat. They are multiplying right in front of us. Look at this shit. Wait, where'd it go? There we go. This is stated to have occurred at least 5 times. Each time the orange orb would appear, launch red orbs, then disappear. The orange orb is only visible for 1 to 2 seconds. The red orbs would generally move away from orange mother orb in a horizontal path, but in a couple of instances, one red orb was stated to move heading up at an angle, while another witness stated sometimes that red orbs would swoop down after being launched from the larger orange orb. These events were witnessed by multiple teams from varying locations and vantage points over a 2-day period. Due to the sequential nature of the events, it is not known whether there was a single orange mother orb that released the groups of red orbs, whether there were multiple orange orbs at play. Do you think the orbs, like, they can't just be orbs? Do you think it's something that, like, is the orb almost like a shield around whatever the aircraft is, or whatever it is? Is the orb, like, it's got to be some sort of technology protecting what's actually in there, right? There's no way these guys are just whipping an orb, you know? Gravitational field, time bubble. Dude, my be up tier list. Whoops. Might be, dude. It's just so strange that they're all orbs. Like, there's no way. These motherfuckers aren't whipping orbs. They can't be. They're not. Oh, the Strait of Hormuz. Is this why it's closed? Give me some more, like, let's see. Give me some videos. Hold on. .vid. Here we go. Here we go. United States Central Command submitted a report of an unidentified anomalous phenomenon to the all-domain anomaly. Okay, let's see. What is it? Whoa, hey! That motherfucker's in the Uber. Wait a minute. Hey! Hey, that's Homelander. That's fucking Homelander. There he goes. Look at that shit. Okay. He really zoomed it. Oh, describe the observation as a possible missile. Okay. All right. Thanks, guys. Yeah, I mean, might have been a missile. We don't really know what the fuck that was. You know, it could have been an alien. We're throwing it in there. They threw everything that, like, theoretically could be an alien. Let's see this. Okay, what do we have here? I'm not even reading. Oh, is that what we're tracking? Interesting. With that little ball of light. Wait, hold on. The video depicts two areas of contrast moving together near the center of the field of view throughout the runtime. Okay. Okay. All right. All right. Okay. What else do we have? What the fuck? How do I even... Bro, why is so much shit blurred out here? Where is it? I'm looking for the alien. Where's Homelander? Oh! You've been hacked. The fuck? Okay. Thanks, feds. Thank you. Let's see. Oh, Greece. Let's see. Here's a Greek clip. Okay. United States Central Command submitted a report consisting of 1 minute and 5 seconds of video captured aboard a military platform. A diamond-shaped unidentified object moving at approximately 434 knots, and it was only detectable via shortwave infrared. Okay, wait. Wait, we might have something with this clip. Okay, where is it? Keep an eye out for the diamond-shaped thing. Oh, oh. Oh. What is that? Wait, chat, what is that?
Steering always leads to a bad end.
Chat, there it is. He's going. He's going. I mean, dude, the aliens are just little guys dancing across the sky. They're just little guys, bro. I feel like we should leave them be. Like, look, that's just a little guy. Yeah, there's no way that's a balloon. Look how fast that fucker's moving. The motherfucker's staring. Where'd he get that balloon, bro? Which grocery store sold him that birthday balloon, bro? I need that shit. That's what I thought my balloons were doing every time I lost them as a kid. I really thought they were just leaving. Like, this is where they were going. Bro, I remember my dad, like, when it was like my birthday, he'd like bring me some balloons when he picked me up from kindercare, right? He'd pick me up from daycare after school, and I would get in the car and I'd hang the balloons out the window and I'd roll up the window so they'd like stick out the window, and then I'd like occasionally crack it and like let them out, you know, let them fly out. That shit. Look at those little guys, bro. This is just my balloon. I lost my balloon. I can claim this clip, no problem. That's not an alien, bro. It's my fucking birthday balloon. Okay, let's go. Let's see. A lot of videos here. No, give me some bangers. Let's see. We're gonna blind fire here. Arabian Gulf sighting. What do we have? Okay. The boat? Aliens are whipping boats now? Dear God. Oh! Oh! Wait, look. Look right here. Whoa! Wait. Chat. Who the fuck is that? Who the fuck is that, chat? Look at that guy. Look at that guy. Yeah, I can't tell if it's under the water or over the water. You think it's underwater? It's like a submarine missile. We just caught some crazy ass shit we weren't supposed to see. Let's see. Ooh, Japan. A Japanese sighting. Okay. Sensor tracks 3 distinct areas of contrast, maintaining their positions generally within the center of the frame. Okay. Whoa. Wait. Chat. What is that? Chat, I don't like that. What is that? Who are they? They aren't moving or anything. Who are they? Does anyone know this guy? Kong Ghidorah, the 3-headed dragon? Who the fuck is Kong Ghidorah? Ooh. Ooh. What did you say? Okay. All right. We have 3 orbs. Wait, hold on. Djibouti. We have a sighting in Djibouti. Okay, here we go. Consisting of 2 seconds of video. Okay, thanks, guys. W. What? Oh, it's 2 seconds on loop. Wait, it's wait. W alien sighting, dude. Thank you, guys. Okay, wait. Low Earth orbit. Oh, wait, this is an interesting one. This audio recording contains air-to-ground communications in the NASA Public Affairs audio feed commentary recorded during the flight of the Gemini 7 mission. In this excerpt, astronaut Frank Borman reports to NASA control in Houston his sighting of an unidentified object, which he refers to as a boat. This sighting occurred on December 5th, 1965. So this is actually one of the really interesting parts of the UFO documents to me, is that in 1965, let's actually see if we can sort by date here and go to the ones that happened like around that time. Let's see. Hold on. The sorting like doesn't work very well on this. So hold on. That's okay. 65. There was a few things that got leaked. The aliens that, or not the aliens, the astronauts that went to the moon apparently like saw some shit from the moon. Yeah, look. So this archival photograph depicts the lunar surface as viewed from the landing site of Apollo 12. This image has been modified from its original state to assist viewers in identifying specific areas of interest. So these like, apparently the astronauts that landed on the moon back in the 60s, they saw some like unidentified like glowing objects from the surface of the moon like these, right? And apparently they still don't really know what these were. Now, realistically, could they just be other things in space that we haven't discovered yet? Maybe a distant star or something like that? Potentially. But I think if we're putting boots on the moon, we more than likely have discovered, like we know what's going to be within our visual, you know, within our peripheral from the surface of the moon, right? Like if we're, by the time we made it to the point of actually putting boots on the moon, we had kind of mapped out the rest of the galaxy already. You know, that wasn't, I don't think anyone was expecting to see these unidentified glowing objects from the surface of the moon, right? But here they are. And you can even see the, look, there's the shadow of an astronaut right there, dude. There's the shadow of an astronaut. Oh, imagine how, like, terrifying this would be, being the first man on the moon. You are the first person to ever leave space, or ever leave Earth. You go to space, you land on the moon, and they're all telling you, oh, you're going to see these planets, and then everything else is probably just going to be pitch black. And you land, and there's just a bunch of these unidentified glowing objects around you. That would be scary, dude. Like, that's fucking scary. I don't know about that, dude. I don't know about that. I don't believe in moon landing. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, bro. Anyone who believes that we have not gone to the moon at this point might just be retarded, dude. I'm not gonna lie. Like, I believe in a lot of conspiracies. I don't believe that we've never gone to the moon. I think anyone who argues we've never gone to the moon is smoking dick, dude. We have absolutely gone to the moon. We have 1,000,000% gone to the moon. And I think even beyond the argument of the initial moon landing being fake, I just don't think any other country would have ever let us get away with that. Like, ever. Like, there is no way that no other country had any inside men, especially during the era we did this, the Cold War era. You don't think Russia had some fucking inside men at NASA? You don't think they had a single guy feeding information on our project over to Russia? I think you would be smoking crack if we would have gotten away with this lie for this long, you know? I just think there's no fucking way, you know? We 100% have gone to the moon. But these pictures are crazy, and here's a transcript from the mission, you know? And what's interesting here, you can see the pilot of one of the lunar modules, astronaut Alan Bean, described observing particles and flashes of light sailing off in space via the onboard alignment optical telescope. He characterized these phenomena as escaping the moon. That's, I mean, if the cream of the crop of our astronauts are saying these things and they don't even know what it is, who knows, bro? Who knows what it is, you know? Who fucking knows what it is? You know? Charles Pete Conrad described observing floating debris outside the lunar module, which has been illuminated by the module's onboard tracking light. Conrad says, well, I think the reason that we haven't really gone to the moon much since is more so because what is there to do on the moon? Like, the initial space race was very much a cultural thing and like a you know, part of the Cold War. Like, it was just a sign of the times. Like, going to the moon was very significant. I don't even think a lot of Americans understood why we wanted to go to the moon. It was just like, let's go to the moon before they do. You know, we are the most advanced. Let's prove it right now. Let's go to the moon, you know? But like, now that we've been to the moon, it's like, okay, bro, there are much more important things in our galaxy to investigate and try to put boots on the ground on than the moon, you know? Like, much more important. The moon is actually not that significant in the grand scheme of things in space. You know, it's really not. It is a borderline empty glowing rock. You know, there's not like a lot. We don't need to keep sending people to the moon every year. You know, we really don't. Especially now that we have the technology to do what those guys went and did. You know, we could just send drones up. We could just send little bots up to go get a bunch of information. They take all these pictures. They can even send samples back. You know, like, so I think, yeah, back in the 60s, going to the moon was a way different proposition than it is now. Now it's like, go to the moon? Why the fuck would you go to the moon? You know, it's 2026. What the fuck's going on up there? In 1960, motherfucker, we thought we were about to meet the president of the aliens up there. Okay? And we are sure as hell not letting Russia be our alien delegate. No, we're sliding, you know? We're pulling up on that shit. You know? We're not putting up with that. Hell no. We're the delegates. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot more here, but honestly, I think a lot of it's this really old shit from the 50s, where it's like those old, like, you guys ever read the old newspaper articles about like Roswell, New Mexico? They're like, I'm a farmer, man. I was just, you know, checking on my wheat and I saw a saucer in the sky, you know? Most of this is just that. So I'm not really going to read over a lot of those because that kind of stuff has been public for a long time. But being able to actually see these, you know, long classified clips, it's very interesting. It's very, very interesting. It makes you wonder, man, like, what is really out there, bro? What is really out there, dude? I think we don't know shit about space. I think we're probably so disgustingly far from, like, actually knowing much about space. It's not even funny. Like, we think we know a lot right now, bro. We've never even left our galaxy. We've never left the Milky Way. Once. We've never left our galaxy. You know? We are probably the smallest little fragment. Like, dude, I say with near certainty, we are probably less than 1% of the entire makeup of the universe. And you know what's some shit that I really think about when I'm high sometimes? What are the bounds of the universe, right? Like, we know the bounds of our galaxy. Humanity has always believed that we know the bounds of where we are, and, like, we actually don't. Like, for a long time, we thought it was Earth. And then all of a sudden, a few hundred years ago, these philosophers started understanding what space was, what all that stuff in the sky was. So then we're like, okay, it's space. How big is space? For a long time, we thought that space was just our galaxy. We got the sun, we got the Milky Way, we got all these other planets, and the Milky Way was the bound zone. All of a sudden, nope, there's other galaxies out there. Okay, so there's a few galaxies. Well, how far is that go? Well, who fucking knows? Who fucking knows? But then, black holes come into the equation. It's like, okay, so there's these holes in the galaxy that contain completely unquantifiable amounts of mass that are so powerful that gravity cannot escape them. And like, what happens in there? How big is that? Is that a whole different, is that a different dimension? Like, what is even, you know, we don't know shit. We really don't know shit. We don't know a damn thing, bro. You know, it's crazy. It's fucking crazy. Black holes are such an awesome concept. Black holes are very cool. Yeah, I'm very interested. I always like space stuff. I think space is really fascinating. You know? Like, we don't know shit, bro. We literally know nothing about this fucking life. We know nothing about the place we live. We know about the planet we live. That's about it, dude. That's about it. And also, like, I mean, when you think about, like, for example, go back to the Big Bang Theory and the theory of life on our planet, right? How did life come to be on Earth? All of these chance happenings, 1 in a million happenings in space that just so happen to lead to us. There's no way we're the first instance. There's just no way that we are the only planet with life on it. There's just there's no shot. No shot. You know? There's no fucking shot, dude. There's got to be a lot of other planets with life out there, dude. I wonder what those guys are doing, dude. What does an alien casino look like?
You shall never feed again. Burn, zombies, burn! Victory! That monkey has our goods! I will kill you again! Akio says die! Dine on lead this day! Flame is extinguished by the force of 1,000 fruit fries! Never touch Takeo! Meet your death, demon! I would dishonor Hellspawn! Line up and die, demons!
I want to see that shit. There's a dude who's one Adams our whole universe. I wonder if they wonder about us or if they do know. I mean, we're there's no way we're the most advanced species, dude. There's definitely other life forms out there that like know of our existence. I refuse to believe, you know? Like, there's no way that like this shit is the most advanced capture of like alien life that any species has. No, they probably got us in 4K, bro. These little orbs that are floating around, they got our bitch asses in 4K. You know, they got us in very, very fucking high quality, bro. They're running that shit, bro. They're running movies back in the alien theaters, and it's just like found footage clips of humans. Like, look at what these people do, bro. These people are weird as fuck. You know, they're laughing at us and shit, throwing popcorn at the screen. They're like, ha! Look how fat that one is, dude. You know? Oh, imagine we're just a big reality show. Oh. And now they're shutting it down soon because we broke the fourth wall. And we're reality showing our own reality show. Twitch streamers, YouTube content creators, television, we're breaking the fourth wall. They're going to shut it down soon. We don't got much longer here, guys. The admins are shutting this shit down. The admins are closing it, dude. Holy fuck, dude. Wow. Wow, chat. Holy hell, dude. That's crazy to think about. Because, I mean, dude, if we found aliens, we would probably do the same shit. Like, let's be real. Like, if we land on a planet with aliens, we're definitely setting cameras up all over that shit. You know? There's no way we're not tapping in with that. Bro, do you think the aliens are watching my stream right now and the viewers don't even count and I'm not getting any ad revenue because it's a foreign alien currency running foreign alien ads? What the fuck? Am I getting shorted? No way. Dude, they're just restreaming my shit? No way, bro. I would crash out. Run me my money, aliens. What the fuck? Don't scam me. Run me my fucking money, aliens. Oh my god, dude. You'll never get my money, Gobby. Doesn't matter, dude. The aliens got it, bro. They're farming us all. The aliens are literally farming us all. And you're sitting here making jokes, bro. It's not funny. It's not funny, bro. There's 500 alien clippers that are monetizing my content and not giving me a cut. You think it's funny? All the alien teenagers are running clipping pages. They're all clippers. Every single one of them. What do you think an alien's name would be? Like, thanks for the sub, like, Borgle Jones. Like, what would his name be? Big, yo, thanks for 10 gifted, Borgle Jones. Big ups, man. Borgle Jones 22, man. Much appreciated. Dude, they probably got their own. No, we're not even on the same wavelength, bro. They have their own alphabet. We're all typing in the English alphabet. It's not even real. They don't even, this means nothing to them. We need to think further outside of the box. We need to create our own alien language. What would an alien language look like, dude? What would an alien language look like, chat? Let's do some brainstorming right now. Okay. So, like, A, in alien language. I don't know how to use this fucking shit, dude. There we go. Ah, shit. Okay. So maybe it would be something like, so the orange orb in the middle. You know that signature orb that we all see, guys? The signature orb that all humans have witnessed? The orange orb in the middle. So this would be their translation to an A. This would be like, oh, he's like A. Okay, so he wanted to say R. So basically, he wanted to ask me like, we started with an A. Okay. So R, let's say the alien asked if I'm okay. Are you okay? So R, what would an alien R look like, chat? The letter R, but alien. Shit. I need to get the proper brush stroke. It would be like the upside down R. I feel like low-key, they probably pay respect to the orb in like every single letter. Like it's probably like their invention. So R, and then we need E. Ooh, what does an E look like in alien? No, because think about this, okay? Now watch. Then you connect, hit him with the fucking big orb. Yes, yes. Okay, that's what it would look like. So R, A-R-E. So then we're going to put the translation in that bitch. So that translates to R. I don't know how to use this software at all, dude. R, okay. U. Now he's going to say U. So hear me out, okay? I believe the alien would not spell Y-O-U. I think he'd draw like a human resemblance image. Like you, like I think the alien language would be so advanced that you morphs depending on the species of what they're talking to. So like imagine this. Like if like you is a human, it would be a human. But imagine if they're talking to a dog, it would be a little dog. So you actually has many variants in the alien language. You has many variants in the alien language. So let's say they're talking to me. So it's like me. Are you? But then, hold on. The orb, bro. The orb is involved in everything. So the orb would be on my head as a sign of respect, as a sign of like the orb is still in control here, kind of thing. You know? Because if the orb is literally key to their belief system and their culture, okay? But just imagine like you, okay, but like it's you, but like human form. So like there's different forms depending on the species they're interacting with, okay? Are you okay? All right. Big orb in the O. Big orb in the O. Big orb. O. Okay, K. How would an alien write the letter K? Okay, and it like kind of reaches up, and then the orb is the base of the K. So look at that. Look at that. Let me give the respect the orb deserves here. Fuck! There we go. Okay, let me give the respect the orb deserves. Are you okay? So imagine like the alien stumbles upon me injured. Oh, but then a question mark. How would the alien signify it's a question? Okay, so maybe, oh shit. It would have to be a triple orb formation. I think it's the only thing that makes sense. Shit, that was a bad orb. It would have to be a triple orb formation. I just think in the context of this, it's the only thing that makes sense. Okay. So there's the question mark. So let's use it as a full sentence, okay? Are you okay? Question. What do you guys think? I think it makes sense. Like, if an alien proposed this to me, I would be able to decipher this problem. Yeah, okay. Nah, all right, yeah, that's all I needed. Yeah, that's all I need to see, guys. That's all I need to see. That's proof in the pudding. Chat, where's the proof? Where is it? Someone say it. Someone say what the proof is. It's in the motherfucking pudding. Okay? Learning more language in this room in 2 years in language classes? Bro, I mean, I'm a teacher, dude. What can I say? You know, I really teach. I really do this shit.
Episode 5 of Breaking Bad is titled Grey Matter, and if you happen to be an extensive overanalyzer, you might even notice that it is in fact a reference to grey matter technologies. Bravo, Vinny, you have done it again. Grey matter is also a key part of the brain responsible for muscle control, sensory perception memory, emotions, decision making, and self-control. Or, in other words, the thing that makes human identity and free will. Actually, I don't want to say free will, because that's like a whole philosophical debate, and not even a philosophical debate, it's a debate in physics. So, not free will, but human identity, yes. So if we go back to that missing 0.111958% that was supposedly the soul, this episode is essentially the counterpoint to that.
There's nothing but chemistry here.
This episode is all about the inner turmoil that defines Walter, the ultimate decision between his own pride and control, but also his family. The thing is, this episode also shows us, maybe for the first time with true clarity, that it was never about the family. It wasn't even about the money. It was always about how he would be remembered, about being the one who gets the credits, about being the white in grey matter. Before we get to that though, we open to Jesse's story. After the emotional roller coaster that was his return home, he is just trying to start over. He's all cleaned up, freshly shaved, and even nicely dressed. That is, until you notice the suits. Yellow tie, a red shirt, and a black suit. Every aspect of the drug trade is still reflected on him. This episode is all about this tragic irony in Jesse's life, where no matter how much he tries escaping his past, it's the only real thing that he has. And more generally, Breaking Bad uses these wacky, goofy mixtures of colors to just portray conflicted emotions. Every single suit that Saul owned was all kinds of weird and wacky, so yes, it is all about these conflicted ideas, conflicted morals, and really conflicted outlook on life. And then when he starts talking about
Curriculum vitae?
I mean, let's be honest, this is hilarious, but it's also very sad. He talks about it as if it were some magical spell. He tries entering a world that he has never been a part of, and no one's really playing along. And of course, even before they sit down, we already see Badger dancing outside, this omen of what's to come. Jesse tries pitching himself, saying that he has a lot of experience in sales, which, to be fair, he definitely does, but he is promptly shut down.
Advertise.
Obviously annoyed, Jesse rips off the tie, that temporary facade once again broken. And it's at his lowest that the drug world comes chasing him. Badger, literally dressed like a dollar bill with angel wings, runs after him like the old friend that he is. And that continues as Badger asks whether Jesse can hook him up with Crystal, to which Jesse responds by saying that he's trying to retire. But again, Badger is that savior angel dollar bill. He keeps beckoning him back into the business, saying, "The last batch you made was incredible." And the thing is, despite his attempts to start anew, Jesse immediately lights up. Finally, someone seems to value his skills. It's a momentary flash of pride, and more importantly, purpose. That "apply yourself" keeps echoing in his mind. He wants to believe that he can be talented.
It was pretty awesome. His partner who was helping me cook, I was doing most of the work, but
And while Jesse doesn't exactly agree to get back into cooking, he doesn't say no either. And with that, roll intro. No wait, actually roll it back, because why is this intro different? Like, why is the spacing suddenly very, very different? This is literally the only time in the entire series this happens, so... Huh? It bothers me way more than it has any right to. Like, how does this happen? How do you randomly have one different intro? What? Okay, roll intro. We open with Walter and Skylar driving to Elliot's birthday, with Walter saying that the gift is stupid as we focus on the tiny baggie. Much more importantly, Walt says that the invitation said no gifts, and let's stop right there, because yes, 100% yes. If the invitation says no gifts, do not bring gifts. If you bring a gift, you are a bad person making everyone else feel bad. Please learn to read. It says no gifts. It's cringe. Stop it. Let's stop this read between the lines nonsense. If it says no gifts, stop making people who bring no gifts feel bad. Stop. Sorry, I got a little bit heated there. Anyway, as we see Walt and Skylar arrive, we immediately get this Walter is in a Navy suit, and Skylar is in a, as she later described it, a prom dress from 1985. But the entire party is happening in these super low-key beige and white clothes. First off, the colors. Beige in the series is used to express blandness and neutrality. People who wear beige have immense power and wealth, but they are not threats. The single best example of this is Walt and Skylar confronting Shangri. Both of them are very, very powerful by that point, but they are also not afraid at all. But beyond the symbolism, it also very visually singles out Walter as if he doesn't belong to them. He is this dark stain on a perfectly clean crowd, which also works on the sense that he is indeed already tainted by the drug lord. Another thing to note is Walter's facial expressions whenever Gretchen is mentioned. We'll get to this later in the episode, but every single time he is like really, really bitter. After greeting Elliot and praising his acquisition of patents, which we should also keep in mind as it is the source of Walter's hypocrisy, Walter walks into their library that probably costs more than everything they own put together. No, I am not jealous at all. I'm just saying it's a very good library, and I'm saying that if I had the opportunity, I would love to own one. That's all I'm saying. Not jealous. He sees all the gray matter headlines, every single one featuring just Elliot. His achievements didn't result in just a plaque hanging on the wall. He got public approval everywhere, and for Walter, that matters infinitely more. Like we later see with this title of Heisenberg, it was always about this public side of the approval, not actually about what he has achieved.
You all know exactly. Now, say my name.
He also briefly sees Elliot chatting to Skylar, which most likely is when she tells him about Walt's diagnosis. We then see Farley and a bunch of other dudes catch up with Walter, with Farley introducing him as the master of crystallography. He talks about how they were stuck on a protein problem for weeks, but Walter walked in with one word.
Synchrotron. Data collection takes a fraction of the time.
Everything they say here about the data collection is stuff is very true. I think so. I have no idea what this stuff is, so I asked for AI overlords, and they also describe it as like super-powered X-ray sources that allow you to determine structures of complex molecules with incredible precision. I think I understand what it means, but I'm also not sure, so yeah, it's accurate, I think. What's much more important though is
This is the white in gray matter.
this is supposed to be praise. It's supposed to be the thing that Walter always wanted, but really, it's incredibly awkward. He explains the whole shorts, black and white, so gray matter thing, but practically speaking, he's not a part of them at all. When they start asking whether he's the guy who does all the great things, Farley immediately says, no, that's Gretchen, with Walter saying that he gravitated toward education. For Walter, this isn't praise. This is further rubbing his regrets right in his face. It's a perpetual reminder of what he lost and what should have been his.
Care to guess what that company is worth now? Billions. With a B. My potential for 5,000.
And what's worse, Walter's purposely vague education doesn't really work out either because they immediately ask, what university? And yeah, he does a very, very awkward sit because it's a high school. As for why it's a high school, I think it's honestly that same monotony of his life that we saw in episode 1. He had his soul falling out with Gretchen and left Raymond. Skylar got pregnant with Walt Jr. and suddenly he needed a job. Walter started scrambling for some kind of stability and new beginning. But when he landed the high school job, he just kind of stuck with it. He always believed that he deserved more and he always wanted more. But really, he just never pursued anything. Getting his diagnosis was almost this sweet relief because there was finally an end goal.
I sleep just fine.
Stratocaster. That's one of class.
I thought I had no idea what Clapton was, but it turns out I have a bunch of his music on my playlist, so that's pretty fun. But yeah, the Stratocaster guitars are like a whole thing with him, so this isn't like a random thing that's been made up for Breaking Bad. It's been a very long time since Breaking Bad, so do take this with a grain of salt, but listening to these guitars put it at roughly $2,000. Honestly, that's a lot less than I expected for like a big collector's piece, but then again, this is just a basic birthday, so $2,000 is an absurd amount of money. Whatever the case, obviously the intention of the seed is to gift something very, very expensive and is just like a random birthday present, because all of them are like very good. That aside, we get another stark contrast as Elliot grabs the teeny tiny package from Walter. That is of course further contrasted by the fact that he just got that very, very expensive guitar. And that is even further strengthened as he singles out Walter. But when he opens it up and we see that packet of ramen, it's a complete showstopper.
This is what Walton and I lived on. These noodles are responsible for our success. I love it. Thank you.
While the sequence is initially framed as this super awkward and embarrassing moment for Walter, I think it perfectly conveys the other side of it. So much of Walter's, really Breaking Bad story as a whole, is about pride, about always wanting more. More money, more power, status, they're all at the heart of all of the conflicts we see in the series. But when we see Elias, the man who basically has it all, unpack this little ramen packet, note just how much longer he talks about it as opposed to the purely material guitar. It's a somewhat tragic in the context of Breaking Bad, but beautiful reminder of what actually makes people connect. It's just a packet of ramen, a gag gift, but it means so much. It's the simplest of reminders that tells 1,000 words. This is how little it would have taken for Walter to reconnect with Ray Matter. Okay, but real quick,
10 for $1.99.
a single packet of the cheapest ramen here is like 50 to 60 cents. 10 for $2? That's insane. To be fair though, Elliot also talks about them being outlawed, and I'm pretty sure that we have like rules here about like salt content and stuff like that, so maybe the ramen here is more expensive than it is in the United States, and it's not just like inflation, because like the cheap packet ramen. It's very, very bad for you. Shouldn't eat a lot of it. But because we follow Walter, and the series is deliberately framed so as to dunk on Walter at basically every turn, it's easy to see Elliot as just a snobby rich dude, when he really isn't. He praises Walt for all the things they did together. He tells the story that he clearly remembers fondly, and that is perfectly demonstrated as we cut to just the two of them laughing it up as they reminisce about their goofy friends.
The same guy who always smelled like chocolate milk.
Is the typical thing of two friends who might have walked very, very different paths, reconnecting in an instant. It's the purest expression of unconditional friendship. But this is Breaking Bad, so of course it has to be tainted somehow.
I miss this. But you know what I mean is that you and I should be together again.
This is Walter's single biggest unspoken dream unfolding right in front of his eyes. Finally, he is reached out to personally praised and invited to work in the most prestigious circles of chemistry. It's an invite into this world where he sticks out like a sore thumb, but he knows that he should have always belonged. Walter immediately starts talking as if a weight has been lifted off his shoulders, saying, "Oh, I spend most of my days drawing out atoms on the chalkboard, etc., etc." He obviously wants this. All of that resentment is gone. All that made-up pride is gone, and he is genuinely excited. Except... just like that, it all collapses. Health insurance. He never said anything about that. To Walter, this isn't an offer for his abilities or his genius, one-of-a-kind, out-of-the-box thinking. This is a pity party. Literally nothing Elliot says matters anymore because that seed of doubt has now been sown. In the last episode, we watched Walter try to claw back every bit of control he can. And so with this is a punch below the belt. He is baited into this sense of accomplishment and freedom, only for it all to be ripped away because Walter simply cannot accept any kind of pity. He just refuses that, even if it's not true. It's toxic and self-destructive, but that's the Walter we know. This is the first crystal clear sign that Walter's actions were never motivated by money or really even towards family. They're all tangentially related, of course, but for the most part, it's just a deflection that he uses to justify his own selfish ambition.
Did you say to Elliot, I don't like the way you talk about my affairs.
And the thing is, as we see Walter crashing out against Skylar, we see that there was never any form of talk about jobs or anything. This was all Elliot's idea. And even more than that, it is still a job. This isn't some charity campaign Grey Matter would run for their founder. No, Walter would literally be working. It's just that Walter's pride is so self-destructive that he views even this offer as a form of charity. Yes, you guessed it, another morning means another very awkward. Breakfast in the window. And just like that, Walter's ego takes another big hit. His son has gone from supporting and wanting to be close to him to being annoyed with how he's handling this whole situation and just pushing him away.
You know who works way harder than they ever should do? Moms. They're always juggling work, family, chores, and whatever else in between. So this Mother's Day, treat her to the Raycon Everyday Earbuds. She deserves a good moment to relax with a good podcast or a book. Or maybe just to answer a phone call from her favorite child in crystal clear audio. Raycon's Everyday Earbuds are the perfect gift for your mom, whether she's hitting the gym, doing some work, maybe doing some gardening, or just taking a phone call that, for some reason, is always on speakerphone. Their latest model has gotten even better. A 32-hour battery life is already great, but with multi-point connectivity that allows her to connect two devices at the same time, you'll finally be free of those perpetual Bluetooth consultations. And speaking of battery, my mom is always really bad at remembering to charge stuff, so Raycon's quick charge function does a lot of heavy lifting. Just 10 minutes of charging yields 19 minutes of battery. The biggest deal with me personally is active mode transfer. Whenever I'm making my morning coffee, I don't want to miss what Paladin is saying while my Tango tries its best to imitate a high school. So the everyday hero, they come in clutch. And now imagine how useful that is for someone who actually leaves the house. You could like get on the bus and listen to things in peace. I also really love the protective case covers. They look cool and they also support wireless charging, so it's a win-win. So what are you waiting for? Snatch the perfect Mother's Day gift. Go to buyraycon.com/photos to get 20% off site-wide. Brought to you by Raycon.
Leaving the White household, we see Badger arrive at Jesse, and we are right back to yellow. The car is yellow, Badger is wearing yellow, Jesse is wearing yellow. Jesse's hope of starting a new life is gone completely. Once again, we see the suffering brought upon by him.
That's it's a boiling flask.
But sadly, Jesse is also at a bit of a crossroads. He now realizes that his attempt at starting clean was another attempt. But this, he's already done this, and he's pretty good at it. At this point, it's simply about finding his true purpose, a goal he can work toward and be good at. So, despite his constant dunking on Walter, he does become a role model of sorts.
Badger brings along a crossbow for
Hunting.
And, you know what they say about guns on walls, right?
This shot right here is gorgeous. That's it. I have nothing else to add. It's so clean. It's so perfect. 10 out of 10 cinema. And also this shot right here, yep, you guessed it, also gorgeous. And as we get a cooking montage, we already see the shift in Jesse's attitude, as he does everything with care and precision. In the meantime, Walt Jr. is also breaking bad as he tries buying some beer with his friends.
Yeah, it is.
This is his rebellion. It's a cry for attention. He feels isolated and unseen by Walter. He feels like his family structure is falling apart at the seams. Trying to buy the beer is his way of convincing himself that he is old enough and powerful enough to get through this alone. But we know reality is very, very different. And so we also get this excellent line of,
I'll talk about you calling me and not your father. Yeah, maybe too.
on one hand, yeah, obviously, this is just him wanting to avoid his parents when he's in trouble. But on the other hand, it is an indirect way of asking Hank for help. We have already seen and heard that he looks up to him. So with Walter being more and more avoidant with each passing day, he wants a trustworthy and strong father figure to help him maneuver through whatever this whole situation is. Unfortunately, this plea for attention will also manifest in Walter taking advantage of Walt Jr., but we'll get to that in due time. Shifting focus back to our chef in training, Badger is absolutely nerding out over Jesse's product, but Jesse himself is disappointed.
It looks good enough to me.
Good enough simply doesn't cut it for Jesse. Good enough is what got him into this mess to begin with. From the cheap laughs at Walt's expense to betraying his family's trust, he was always just good enough to get by, but never enough to earn respect. The apply yourself continues to echo in Jesse's mind, and so he just dumps it all out. He tries again and dumps it out again. This is already light years away from wrestling with Walter. Now it's about finally doing something the right way. He wants something that he can be proud of, even if it is literal meth. Now, unfortunately for our chef in training, his sous chef has other ideas, and so we get the battle of goofs aside, all of this is just a super concentrated version of Jesse trying to apply the lessons he learned back home. He is sick of being written off as some junkie, and he is sick of never amounting to anything. He takes the one thing that he knows and applies himself. It doesn't matter how many times it will take, he will keep trying until he gets it right. Later in the series, we will vocalize this with the story of the box. This cooking is just the dark and bitter side of that fundamental human desire to finally make something beautiful. Again, to him, it's completely irrelevant that these are literal drugs. Just like we saw him list off all the flasks, now it is all about the craft itself. Just like it was never about the purpose of the box, it was just about crafting it. Okay, but for real, how the hell did Badger ever forgive Jesse for this? Leaving him in the desert, that's kind of diabolical. But to be fair, I guess firing a crossbow at your friend is also pretty diabolical, so it evens out. We then get to the family meeting that is most certainly not even I absolutely love this entire sequence. I think it really exemplifies the self-contradictory culture and really the core conflict of Season 1. Every single character we've grown to know thus far will give their pitch, but in the end, all we get is a boiling pot of conflicting opinions with no real solution. It is fundamentally a contradiction. Is this all for Walter's family or not? Does Walter even want help? Does Walter even care about leaving money for his family? What does Walter actually want? Where do you draw the line between his perceived freedom and selfishness? Skylar opens up by pleading with Walter that this is not a decision that affects just him, saying she understands that he doesn't want the support, but that it's okay to ask for help. Essentially, her entire argument, put extremely bluntly, is, Walter, if you die, we fall apart. Your daughter will grow up without a father. Your son will have gone through all of this only to grow to resent your memory. And I will be alone. It is a desperate, emotional plea, but in some ways, it also ignores Walter. But then again, in a family, no decision is made in isolation. It should be his choice, but it's also not. The consequences of his decision will directly affect every single one of them. It's that contradiction that Breaking Bad thrives on. As Hank jumps in, he pulls his usual, very blunt, but sometimes a little meandery tangent. Essentially, he provides some tough love saying, yep, this is unfair, everything is bad, I totally get it. That said, you can hold on to your pride and take down the ship with you, or you can step up, be a man, and actually ask for help. It's another, equally valid argument to add to this cocktail of drama, because, as we discussed before, Walter has more than enough support to lean on. He just chooses not to accept it. Holding on to his pride won't save anyone. Walter is just acting like a child. And when Walt Jr. joins the conversation, he's just raw.
You're like, ready to give up? What if you gave up on me, huh? All the stuff I've been through, you're scared of a little chemotherapy?
This is just a straight punch to the gut, because, yeah, Walt Jr. has been dealing with health problems his entire life. He never wanted any of this. He didn't ask for any of this. But here he is, struggling every single day, while his dad doesn't even have the courage to give treatment a shot. It's not even him giving up on treatment, which is understandable, but he literally just refuses it. For Walt Jr., Walter's personal feelings are completely and absolutely irrelevant, which, again, is also perfectly valid. If Walter gets to just put up his hands and give up, then Walt Jr. also just give up? If we're talking about fairness, where's the fairness in that? But Marie comes in with the complete counterpoint, which is like the most woke take of all time, but it is also extremely controversial for all the reasons we just talked about. She literally just says, and make sure you're sitting down for this, how about Walter just does whatever he wants to do? She knows that she herself is a bit of a control freak. So seeing everyone else here talk like some messed up council deciding on what Walter does as if he has no autonomy, he's just like, weird.
Maybe Walt wants to die like a man, alright?
I don't want him to die at all!
And finally, Walter pulls all of this together and vocalizes the core problem we've seen him deal with ever since we first saw him in episode 1. All he wants is a truce. For as long as he can remember, he's been caught up in the stream of life with no say where the current takes him. From him ending up as the most overqualified high school teacher west of Mississippi, to having an unexpected second baby, to this, it feels like he has only existed for everyone else around him. But the thing is, we know that a lot of this, it's just an excuse. The cancer diagnosis, yes, it's obviously unfair and there was nothing he could ever do about it. But everything that came before that, the world is not out to get you, Walter. A lot of the stuff that happened to you is your own making, and you know that. Bryan Cranston's acting here is absolutely incredible. The way he embodies this impossible situation between letting down absolutely everyone important to you and essentially giving up your own free will is just cinema. And the way underneath all of that, the true reason behind all of this seeps through, it's just perfect.
Dead man is artificially alive. That's the worst part.
He admits it. that would be the worst part. He doesn't want to be the cancer man. He doesn't want Elliot's pity. He wants a legacy of his own. The next morning, though, Walter is in another impasse. He wakes up alone. The stack of books on Skylar's bedside is a reminder of his betrayal. He smells her pillow, her face cream, moisturizer thing, I've got no idea what that is. But it's suddenly like Walter is living in Skylar's world. A world where they wake up alone because their spouse refused treatment. Their lingering smell being the only reminder of what was. Walter knows that this is cruel to no end, and so he folds. Like Jesse in the prior episode, Walter is wearing a gray sweater. This is supposed to be a new beginning. But just like with Jesse, it's never that simple. So right away, Walter also lies about Elliot's sending him. I absolutely love all of these shots at the doctor's office. All the color is gone. It's this cold, industrial, almost artificial process as he's packed away. It just looks really cool, and I think it also captures Walt's fears really, really well, especially because, well, he is literally wrapped in plastic, like a body bag. And right on the heels of that, we cut to him driving to a very familiar neighborhood wearing a black jacket. But mere moments before he can leave, kind of similar but also kind of the opposite of Jesse, the new beginning comes along.
I'm always here.
Now knowing that Walter left Grey Matter because he always felt inferior to Gretchen, hearing her call him, again, have pity for him, is basically the final and only time. He's already on his way to Jesse, and now being reminded of how good she has been just pushes him even further. And if you remember all the stuff Walter said about Elliot doing these face-saving things, well, Walter's been doing that for most of this episode. And again, with Gretchen too, we see that nothing about this was supposed to be some performative charity whatever thing. She's alone, and considering she starts crying, she clearly regrets a lot of what happened between them. It's hard to talk about all the stuff that happened decades ago, especially because Walter puts on a very nice face. But she hurts because Grey Matter, it should have had Walter. This isn't fair weather, or I guess unfair weather friends. This is just a moment of reconnection that has opened up all of those wounds all over again. But Walter, he's already made up his mind. He will make his own legacy.
And that's the video. There is no on-camera outro for this one because the entire thing was out of focus and I don't want to delay the video by an entire day. So yeah, my Grey Matter joke, I guess it was really that bad. Other than that, usual reminder, if you don't want to miss anything I'm doing, join the Discord server or just check the links in the description. I'm still streaming Schedule 1 and Dark Souls 2, so there's a bunch of stuff happening on Twitch, there's a bunch of stuff happening on the second channel, basically just links in the description. And with that, I want to say a massive thank you to our current patrons and YouTube members who allow me to produce even more of these for you all. Without you, there'd be a whole lot less of my rambling, so seriously, thank you, thank you. Other than that, I want to say thank you very much for watching, I hope you have a great day, and hopefully, I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye. Episode 6 of Breaking Bad is titled Crazy Handful of Nothing, which is a nod to the 1968 film Cool Hand Luke. Beyond the movie reference though, it also refers to Walter's multiple instances of bluffing with a crazy handful of nothing, emphasis on the crazy. In the poker game, Walter has the infamous 2-7 draw, but he manages to bluff Hank out of a guaranteed easy win. And a very similar, albeit much crazier situation happens with Tuco.
This is not meth.
Essentially, this episode is all about reinforcing the theme of Walter using deception to gain the upper hand and assert dominance over his adversaries. With this episode being the pivotal turn in which Walter adopts the title of Heisenberg, it's all about showing his willingness to use these calculated risks and intimidation to achieve his goals, even if they might come at the expense of those closest to him. We'll talk plenty about this throughout the episode, so put a pin in that for now. Moving into the episode, we pick up right where we left off, with Walter at Jesse's asking to start up their little business again. The bullet holes of that first ever deal gone wrong will continue to be a very strong point of foreshadowing and symbolism. So I think here, it's meant to represent the permanent scars of violence and the moral erosion we see within Walter. Every single time we return to the RV, the literal door is marked by the ghosts of Walter's past. And in the context of this episode, that rings particularly true, as this opening sequence is cyclical and is deliberately there to establish this insane contrast and really contradiction in Walter's own words. We see Badger's pseudo-tablets still scattered across the ground, the Dutch angle already giving the scene this conflicted and chaotic tone. But when Walter starts insisting that the chemistry is his domain, and that the street is exclusively Jesse's, we get this abrupt cut to a deal that has gone very, very wrong yet again. Even as Walter calmly explains that he doesn't want to know anything about what happens in the streets, we see what is most definitely not something good. The juxtaposition here is quite extreme indeed, and I think the editing elevates that even further. The way it's cut together, it's almost as if it were a mistake. Walter's casual monologue doesn't change the least bit, we just cut to this fiery hellscape.
No more bloodshed. No violence.
Walter is suddenly the only constant, the only beacon of confidence and strength in this chaotic scene. If in the last episode we saw Walter's true face exposed on a personal and on a family level, then this one is all about exposing that dangerous and prideful side of him.
Growth, then decay, then transformation.
Within the space of 40 minutes, we will once again see him go from his most vulnerable and lowest to a chaotic spiral into the darkness that is Heisenberg. This is like an absolute masterclass in making a cold open that just has you glued instantly. 10 out of 10, nothing to add, roll intro. We open the episode with Walter sitting in chemo. If you want to immediately overanalyze, he's wearing a white but striped and a colorful shirt. In Breaking Bad, this is usually used to convey a mixture of emotions and general uncertainty. It is a white shirt and he is getting treatment just like his family hoped. But it's not just pure white, there are stripes and all kinds of colors. Walter is conflicted about accepting the treatment. So I think all of this just very neatly encapsulates where his head is at the moment. And that's exactly what we see with Skylar, with him not very subtly telling her that she should, really head home. We of course know that it's because the whole Elliot story is BS and he still has to pop on over to the bank and deposit cash. And speaking of, can we please talk about the Elliot lie? This was one of the goofiest things Walter ever did, because what was the endgame for this? Did he really expect that Skylar would literally never interact with any one of them ever again? What was Walter's plan if she just called them on a random Tuesday to say, thank you for all the money you're giving us? Admittedly, we don't even need to entertain this idea much because that's exactly what would happen. But if you were to rank all of Walter's lies, this is definitely going in the bottom of the bottom tier because this was just really dumb. We then cut to Walter at the bank, telling to delay the payments until Monday. One part of this is just him trying to make the story align with the whole Elliot agreement. Another part is that he doesn't quite have the money to really make this work, so he needs the weekend to make it work. And lastly, I think there is also an angle of him trying to hide the payments among the piled up weekend transactions. Whatever the main reason is, point is that Walter was trying to get rid of Skylar because his story doesn't add up and he has to do a bunch of shady things just to just make it work on a base level, I guess. It's a really dumb plan. But that then takes us to another totally normal and not at all foreshadowy and full of symbolism chemistry lesson by Mr. White. He talks about how chemical reactions involve change on two levels. There's matter and there's energy. He explains when a reaction is gradual, the change in energy is small and barely noticeable. He uses rust collecting on the underside of a car as an example. It is a slow process that creeps and creeps until it suddenly becomes too big to ignore. Right away, I think there's a few different ways to interpret this. One way of looking at it is that this is essentially describing his own life. Over years and years, he fell deeper and deeper into apathy. Every working day blurring together in a never-ending sea of regrets and what-ifs. Slowly but surely, it absorbed his life until the only thing left was rust. Similarly, it could also refer to the cancer. Just like the rust that built upon the car, it grew and it consumed, slowly but surely chipping away at what was once healthy and sturdy. But he then adds that if a reaction happens quickly, otherwise harmless substances generate enormous bursts of energy. So if we use that rust equals Walter's own life or the cancer analogies, the reaction to his diagnosis was indeed incredibly fast and the otherwise harmless Walter became volatile and dangerous. But in the context of this episode, you don't even need to get super artsy and talk about all of these symbols. Both the rust, as well as this talk of volatile and rapid transformations, are actual plot points in this episode and also a little bit of the next.
Hint, hint.
Like an explosion?
Yes, good. Explosions.
If we jump ahead a little, in the next episode, Walter would use iron oxide, or put more simply, just rust, to make thermite. It is another harmless thing turned very explosive thanks to a simple tweak of chemistry. So yes, as with most Walter teaching scenes, it's about the past, the present, and also a little bit about the future. After briefly emptying his guts, Walter is interrupted by the absolute goat Hugo.
You got kids to teach.
We'll look back to Hugo later in the episode as he's a small part of a much bigger trend, but for now, the important part is that he's just a really cool dude who personally helps out Walter. This goes beyond professionalism. This is just a genuine human gesture of kindness. We then cut to Walter and the rest of their family in one of the support meetings. Skylar and Walt Jr. talk about how Walter is so closed off that he just disappears for entire evenings, and generally, they're just scared of not knowing what's going on with him. The most interesting thing about the scene to me is how Walter both is and isn't lying. When he says that it feels better to just not talk at all and to be alone, he is largely describing the pre-diagnosis Walter. We saw how distant and quiet he was. Even around their own breakfast table, he was never very talkative. So I think this is him using his diagnosis as justification for that. He gives himself more leeway in all of this because, hey, I'm doing this for my family. It is okay to disappear for entire days. It's okay to lie. It's okay to do a lot more really, really bad stuff, but hold that thought for now. He then goes on to talk about how he goes on walks, saying he likes nature. He talks about the cacti and vegetation, but as we cut to the lab, he says,
It's really very therapeutic.
first off, juxtaposing this idyllic, peaceful walk in nature to the violent suffering of the drug world is, again, pretty on brand for Walter's character. But secondly, I think there is a kernel of truth to what he's saying. Being alone and just working in chemistry, a field that he knows he is good at, does bring a degree of melancholy. Later in the series, we'd get the famous jazzy scene of Walt and Gale cooking and bantering around in the lab. So yes, I think for the apathetic Walter, being alone and just cooking is therapeutic. But returning to that extreme contrast, we get this beautiful POV shot of Walter almost losing consciousness.
When were you gonna tell me? Cancer. My aunt had one of those dots on her.
Jesse's mention of his aunt's cancer is a surprise for Walter, but it instantly signals a deeper understanding of what he is going through. He knows the routines, he even knows the terminology and classification, as well as the decline that comes with a terminal diagnosis. Jesse caring for his aunt would become a point of friction with his own family, but for now, I think it's this really poignant moment of bridging the gap between Jesse and Walter. And very importantly, just like with Hugo, this goes beyond being just partners or a student or a teacher. This is just fundamentally a human moment of understanding, even if there is a little bit of Jesse's own flair.
Hey, you tell me. You're the one that looks like you just crawled out of a microwave.
The cancer revelation is also really interesting for the both of their characters. Following this point, yeah, Jesse would still butt heads with Walter and we see all kinds of shenanigans between them. But his overall tone has absolutely softened, especially when you combine that with his own brief trip down memory lane and Walter's apply yourself. He repeatedly emphasizes the whole 50-50 partners thing because he genuinely puts his trust in Walter and wants him to value his contribution.
You gonna be able to finish the batch?
No. You do it. You can do it. If you have any questions, I'll be right out here.
But for Walter, Jesse knowing about his predicaments also brings this bizarre sense of relief. Jesse suddenly becomes the only person around whom he doesn't have to hide why he's doing this. And better yet, Jesse validates it. He knows exactly what it's like not being able to achieve what he wants in, let's call them, traditional ways. So knowing how tragic it turned out for his own aunt, he does become a bit of an enabler for Walter, even if he only has good intentions. Later in Season 2, we see this hit a crescendo, with Walter learning that his tumor has actually decreased in size. You'd think that this is incredible news and that he has even more time to secure a lifeline for his family. But for Walter, the world comes crumbling down. Suddenly, all of his excuses, all the lies, and all the flimsy rationalizations for the many terrible things he has already done just fell away. And well, he's left in quite a pickle after that. He doesn't have any kind of moral high ground anymore. But okay, let's not jump ahead, this is all just set up. We then cut to a brief follow-up with Hank and Gomez. They've gotten back the mask from Quantico, and the origin of it is of course Walter's school, which is a pretty big yikes. What's not a big yikes is Jesse's cool dealing montage. Unfortunately for Jesse, despite him spending all night working, Walter is still mauling out about him being late, and worse yet,
$26,000? No, that's 2,600, and your share is 13.
had Walter played Schedule 1, he'd know that every NPC has a spending limit, so obviously, Jesse can't move that much product. But okay, memes aside, this is just a goofy scene of Walter clearly not understanding the first thing about how the street side of the business works, but already trying to butt in, or, exactly what he said he wouldn't be doing. This naturally leads him to the conclusion that they need a distributor.
Yeah, I mean, I used to, until you killed him.
Complete side note, the shot composition here is beautiful. Just the way that the colors are perfectly balanced and the way that it's framed is just so aesthetically pleasing. But with that, we are introduced to Tuco. Obviously, Jesse is afraid of approaching him because, well, we see why. But Walter just continues mauling out even more than we had seen before, which, again, I think loops back to that talk of this explosive chemical reaction. This outburst of anger is directly followed by the chemo, then again the checkbook, and then him once again throwing up. In just 4 quick scenes, we see the full narrative of why Walter continues that chaotic downward spiral throughout this entire episode.